All right, and I'll share my screen with you.
Over 10 left.
Oh, we're at the last slide. We don't want that. We want the first slide. Okay. Can everybody see that okay? All right.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to get started. Thank you guys so much for being here. I am super excited about this beta course, so the Dubsado shortcut. And I'm going to dive into all the things here, but I wanted to just formally welcome all of you. I know that it's an investment of your time and your money, and I really want to make sure that you get everything out of this that you're hoping to get out of this. And it means the world to me that you have chosen to learn with me today. So yeah, so this is going to be in beta, which means like I will eventually have this on my website as a course to purchase. But in this round, I really want it to be like really hands-on, and I want to get your feedback. I want to help you. And so I'm sure we will get to know each other as the course goes on. But if things aren't working one week, maybe we try something else a different week. But I'm kind of debating, like maybe we start a Slack channel or something if you feel like that would be helpful for you to like ask questions. And so you guys can sort of lean on each other as well too. But we have people from all different industries, all across the United States. Actually, Amy, are you in the UK? Are you in the United States? Wait, sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, my mouse wasn't responding, so I was trying to do hand actions. I'm in Florida.
In Florida, okay,
Australian.
amazing.
I'm Australian, but I live in Florida. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So I'm really excited to have you guys all here. So we have some local people. I'm in Boston and New England. So like I said, I hope you can sort of get to know each other as well as the course goes on. But thank you so much for being here. So yeah, so let's just dive right in. So I created this course because I feel like people really need an option to DIY it and learn all of the ins and outs of Dubsado. So even if you are brand new to business, brand new to Dubsado, or you're experienced business owner, experienced in Dubsado, I feel like there's still a place that's missing right now where people still need to learn how to really not only set things up, but create a great client experience. So I want this to really fill that hole for people, that you have the resources you need to be able to take it and use it for your business. So by the end of this, I want you to feel like I am super confident in Dubsado. I know exactly what I need to do if I ever want to set up a new service, or I can do it completely on my own. I want you to understand all of the ins and outs of not only Dubsado, but what I do for my clients as well. So you might have heard me talking about this on stories a little bit, and this may not mean anything to you, and that's okay too. Dubsado has been rolling out 3.0 this week. They have been calling their existing platform 2.0, which was, I don't have to get into all of the background details, but just to give you a little insight, they originally started this company, I think about 10 years ago, and they created it for Becca, who's now the founder. She was a photographer, and her husband created this platform for her because she was like, I need an easy way to manage my clients. And so that's great. And things have sort of been like growing as the business has grown. But they really needed to do this whole code rewrite. So they rebuilt everything from the ground up. So it still has all of the same features that if you're using Dubsado, you are used to, but they are going to start rolling out some new things that are going to make it even better. So it's new to me, even though I've been sort of like testing it in alpha for a while, fully like built out and ready to really use until this week. So I am going to do this course in 3.0 so that if you are an existing Dubsado user, you then have the background and the knowledge of how to use the new version of 3.0. But you do still have access to the existing one. So I know that's a little confusing, and but just so you sort of have some background. So it might feel a little bit different, or you might need to change some things if you are already using Dubsado. But if we have not formally met yet, my name is Kelly McCracken. I am a certified Dubsado specialist. When I started my business 4 years ago now, I was looking for something to be all in the same platform. I didn't want to use like QuickBooks over here and then something to sign contracts over here and then, something else to manage my clients. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to go all in and learn how to use this. I got started. I was a second grade teacher and I became a virtual assistant. I was desperate to get out of the classroom. And so I was like, all right, how can I find something to work for myself, have some flexibility, be able to work from my computer. And so I just sort of landed on virtual assisting. Then while all of that was happening, people were like, oh, I see you're using Dubsado. Like, can you set it up for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was sort of like figuring it out as well. I didn't know how to do it and I didn't know how to set it up for other people. So I have sort of landed here almost by accident, but it's sort of been on my journey and my path. So at the same time that all of that was happening, Dubsado was rolling out their certification, I should say, where you have to like take a test and say, okay, yes, we trust you to set up other people's systems. So I've really been all in Dubsado now for the past 4 years and really figuring out what works not only in Dubsado, but what works for all different types of businesses and all different industries to create a great client experience. I'm also a wife of 4 years, but we've been together for 10. I'm a mom to a 2-year-old and we have a black lab. And I come from a family of small business owners. If you're in Connecticut, you might want to check out, my dad has an ice cream shop there currently. It's right in the center of Connecticut. But he was a party rental company like most of my childhood when I was growing up. And I think why I'm so passionate about this is because they were so against using automation and so against using a system, and he would keep everything in his head. And that of course worked until it didn't work anymore, which is where my sort of ideal client falls and where maybe you are falling as well, where you're like, yeah, I'm doing it and it's working until it doesn't work anymore. So I really want you to be, it's called Tall Man's Ice Cream. It's right in the center of Connecticut. So he has finally sort of like leaned into like Square and using all the automations, but I just always like to say they do it the hard way. And I like to do the opposite. I want it to feel the opposite in your business. So that's just a little bit about me and my background. And so maybe in the chat, can you drop an emoji on like, how are you feeling right now? I'm a big Schitt's Creek fan, but are you feeling excited, nervous? Are you like, all right, I just want to get this done? Like, tell me maybe in an emoji or two how you're feeling currently. Let me just see if I can jump out so I can see it. Awesome. Excited. Yeah, I'm excited too. I love the clapping. That's amazing. That's cool. Yeah, I think the timing is perfect too, that it really worked out well with 3.0, that even if you are using Dubsado, it's a really good time to, amazing, get moved over and feeling confident, especially before 2026. Yes, amazing. That was sort of my goal here. Yeah, I'm super excited too. So I'm hoping to keep that sort of momentum as things go on, but as just sort of some expectations, we're all adults here. We're all busy. I know you guys all have very busy lives. So like, do what you need to do. I'm going to plan to start at 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you want to be on camera, back and being able to like, feel like I'm talking with you. But if you can't, literally no sweat. I want you to do what works best for you. My coach would be like, no, you have to be on camera. Like you have to do that. And I'm like, I never work that way. So however you need to do it, if you're listening in your earbud, you're in the car, works for me. I'm going to try to let you know ahead of time how long the session will be so that you can sort of prepare for it. If you need to jump off at any point, please feel free to do so. But today is probably going to be closer to 90 minutes just because we have a lot more like to get through. But I'm going to try to keep things to 60 minutes if possible, with time for questions and things at the end. You'll have access to all of the replays. Google Meet usually takes like a couple of hours to process. And then once it's processed, I'll post it into Thrivecart. And if anybody had an issue getting logged in there was nothing in there quite yet. It was just sort of the framework of everything. So I'm going to be adding these things as we go, as well as some like PDF resources for you. So yeah, like I said, the Q&A, I'm going to plan on it being at the end right now, but I might add in some sort of community for us to be able to lean on each other and ask questions as we go through things as well. And then this always makes me laugh. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. Let me see if I can replay it.
In front of you is a piece of paper with a circle and
Can
a
you hear
pair
it
of
okay?
scissors. I want you to pick up the pair of scissors and put it to the side. We're not going to need this quite yet. If you did accidentally cut the paper, don't worry. There is a roll of tape on the table next to you. I want you to pick up that tape and place it off to the side with the scissors. We're not going to need it quite yet, you guys.
Dubsado can sometimes feel like that for people. And I'll send it to you because I literally can watch it 20 times and it always makes me laugh. But try your best to like listen to things first and then implement them. But again, I know that is sometimes hard to do and you are busy. So if you need to sit down and do it with me and use this time to also be working on your account, that is cool with me. I want you to do what works best for you. And then the only thing that I will say is there's going to be some like homework, which is going to be exactly what I show you each week as a part of the coursework. But making sure you have those things done before we move on to the next phase is going to be really important so that we can sort of build on each step. Some things are going to take a few minutes, you'll be done with it. It'll be set up, you check it off, you never have to do it again. Other things like writing emails might take a lot longer. I'm going to give you all my templates and things to help speed things up, but I'm going to try to help you prepare for like how much time it might take to do each thing, where like today we might fly through everything pretty quickly. Does anybody have questions so far about any of that? All right, amazing. So yeah, so today we're going to sort of set the foundation for everything. Like I said, I'm going to jump into 3.0 and I'm actually going to use my like trial and like, test account. So I'm going to sort of walk you through the first step and then I'm going to show you actually how it happens. If you are an existing Dubsado user, maybe can you use that emoji and like raise your hand or do just kind of react in some way just so I can see. I think we have about 50-50 in here where people are brand new and some people are already using it. Awesome. So some things might already be set up for you. And if not, that's totally fine. We're going to like start at the baseline. So even if you have this set up, you can probably fly right through a lot of this foundational stuff. But there might be like a few things that you're like, oh, I didn't know that, or I didn't realize that was actually set up like that. So stick with me here, even if we are just setting some of the basics up that maybe you already have connected. So just so you can sort of see where we're going here. Today, like I said, we're going to set all of the framework and the baseline for everything. Next week, we're going to do a lot of the thinking behind your account and how to set up all of the client experience stuff. And we're going to map that together. So that'll be probably a less time of me like talking and showing you how to do things, but more time on you guys, or maybe we can like partner up and help each other like get through setting up your flow and client experience, because that's going to be really the baseline of everything else that we do and build. So today, stick with me if you're an existing user. We're going to go through all of the settings and get familiar with 3.0, the platform. So I just wanted to mention some things or why I choose to work with Dubsado. I want you to keep in mind as we start building what Dubsado is. It's called a client relationship management software, which means we are essentially making a roadmap for your clients, and they are going to come in from that inquiry form and all of the steps along the way that are going to happen. A CRM is not meant to be like a mass marketing tool like Flowdesk or Convert. We are basically going to be designing that experience for your client so we can rinse and repeat it over and over and over again. I just keep that in mind because there might be some things that if you're like a wedding planner, for example, you might need a separate project management tool for things that are more like ongoing or things that are back and forth. Or I'll use Jess as an example. If you're an interior designer, you might have your clients come into Dubsado and flow through, but there might be things like she sends a shopping list to you that says, okay, here are the things that you should buy for your living room and your house, and here are all the links, where that might still happen outside of Dubsado. So just sort of starting to think about, okay, what are some milestones that my clients hit while working with me? And what are some things that are still going to be like back and forth ongoing? But we are trying to stop reinventing the wheel. I say this and I do it myself. Like if I start offering a new service or something, I don't sit down and spend the time to set up a workflow every single time, or it takes me a while until I get frustrated enough that I have to sit down and do it for myself. But think about how much time you spend like writing the same email over and over and over again, where we could really streamline and automate a lot of that. Now, that being said, not everything is going to be automated that we create, but we want to automate what we can to make things simpler for you to be able to grow your business. And then I just also want to mention, the faster you respond to your leads is usually leading to higher conversion rates. So people are 7 times more likely to book you if you can get back to them within 1 hour. And I know that that is nearly impossible without leaning on some sort of system or automation. So we want to make sure to set that up as quickly as possible so that you can quickly be like, yep, I want to move on to the next phase with this client. We also want to make it easy for people to pay you and sign contracts. If you're asking people for checks or to go to Zelle or Venmo, we want to make it so that you are getting paid quickly and they are booking you quickly. This alone can be a deal breaker for a lot of people, especially if they're comparing you with another service provider. And we are going to create a premium client experience without extra work for every single client. I now send proposals within minutes, sometimes even less if I, if I know exactly what I'm going to say to them or I already have things created. We want that to be you as well, because I know that's one of your biggest pain points is probably manually sending contracts or manually creating invoices every single time for every client. So I want you to also be able to send proposals in minutes and charge a lot of money for your services and your expertise. And when you have this like exceptional client experience, that's when people are going to say like, yes, I want to continue working with you. So like I mentioned, just some highlights. We can send beautiful proposals that are going to show you how to create in Dubsado. And I think this is probably one of the best things about Dubsado when you're comparing it to any other CRM like Honeybook. They all essentially do the same thing, right? But I think Dubsado stands out in the sense that everything is very on brand for your business and very customized. So contracts, invoices, emails, all in one place. And I keep saying this, the luxurious client experience, but that's really the point of what we're doing here. I want your clients to be screaming your name from the rooftops, that every single time they're done working with you, they're going to say, oh my God, you have to go and work with X, Y, and Z person again, because I had such a great experience working with them. But I also want to use the system to really set boundaries and expectations. So clients know when you're working, they know exactly what to expect when, and we're going to lean on the automations and the systems to help you do that. And of course, I want you to make more money. That's really the goal, right? We want our business to support us and have it be sustainable in the long run. Okay, so we are going to dive right in. So this is where I'm going to start doing some switching between the two. And I really would love some feedback on what you guys like, if that's working for you or not. But one of the first things you're going to do is add your logo. So if you are an existing Dubsado user, you might already have this in here, but I actually had to switch mine out the other day because it was now being cut off in 3.0. So when you actually go to log in, which I'll show you in a minute, this is going to be one they ask for. We want to make sure we're using a PNG file, and that's when you'll see those little squares in the background to make sure that it's clear. Or transparent, I should say. So it's going to take on the back of the background on there. Ideally, it's going to be some sort of circle or a small square so that it fits fully in the frame. So this is what you're going to see now when you log in. And mine before was a rectangle, so it was completely cut off. So I just switched it to this circle here. You should keep in mind that the logo that you select inside of your brand settings is also going to be the one that appears on your invoices. This is not something you're going to be able to make sure that it's formatted correctly and looks correct on your invoices. So here's just one example here. This is from Canva. This is just like a sample template. We don't want lots of white space around it because it's going to look really teeny tiny inside of Dubsado. but we do want it to be, see how you have those transparent squares as a PNG, and we do want it to be filling the frame as much as possible. So this one might now not fit any longer and it might be cut off. So if you want to look into your account, you certainly can. I'm going to log in and I'm going to get into my trial account here. Has everybody created an account yet? Yes, okay. If you haven't created an account, that's okay. You can actually go, actually, this is one thing you could do with me right now. You can go to Dubsado and click, just go to like dubsado.com. In the top right corner, it will say log in. We can use a trial and a free account for right now. I should have said this in the beginning, but Dubsado is actually going on sale on the 25th. So don't purchase it just yet if you haven't. It's going to be like the lowest price. And then you can actually stack my affiliate code on top of that. So you get it for a great deal. But we can do everything on the trial account here as well. So if you haven't done this yet, you certainly can right now. So I'm going to walk through this for the first time with you as well. So to 3.0. So I think everybody should have access, but if you don't yet, it's going to be out by the end of the week. And if you're still in 2.0, that's fine too. But I'm going to start my trial here for my test account. I saw there was an outage of something today and I was like, oh no, I hope that doesn't affect anything. I was trying to get into a couple apps and it wasn't working. I'm like, oh boy, I hope this works today. All right, let me see if I can refresh here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so my logo is cut off here. So right in the top left corner, you're going to either X out or you're going to click upload a new image right from here. And here, so I would have them. And I'm going to just show you how this one is going to be too small again, or it's going to get cut off.
Hey, Kelly, can you share your other tab? Because we see your presentation, but not your tab.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Entire screen here. All right, can you see that now? Okay, perfect. Thank you, thank you. So, okay, so over here on the left-hand side, much smaller now. So everybody is likely going to have to switch that out. So make sure you have a logo that's going to fit inside of that little circle. Really just for you, it was driving me nuts, but also because on your invoices, that's going to be for your clients as well. So then the next thing you're going to do, let me just see if it loads. Are you guys having loading issues or is it just me maybe? Hopefully it's okay. So your business name is not going to be your name here. My business name just happens to be my name. If anyone is good at naming businesses, I would love to talk with you because I need a new business name. But mine is just my name. So I'm going to put that. I'll just put the co here so you can see the difference. But make sure you have your actual business name here. And I do recommend putting your phone number in. I know it says optional, but that is going to be part of like on your client facing sort of like contracts, invoices, things like that. So we want to add that in there too. Now, don't stress too much about this industry. I was kind of annoyed that Dubsado didn't have one for certified specialists, but I'll just select other for now, but you can select whatever industry makes the most sense for you. It's not going to affect anything on how we set up your account. And then I'm going to put just me and 2+ years. All right, so pretty straightforward, and we'll do save and continue. Okay, so now if you're going into Dubsado 3.0 for the first time, it's going to ask you these things, and it's saying, help us personalize your experience. Just select whatever makes the most sense for you. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to change anything on how you can use the system. It didn't change any of my tutorials or anything when I did this for the first time. I think it's more just, oh, actually you can click skip for now too as well. So it's nothing that's going to be a big deal. All right. Any questions about the basics so far? Good. All right, so connecting the calendar is always the hardest part because we need to make sure that your calendar is talking to Dubsado correctly. So if you are not using a digital calendar right now, we want to make sure that those things are talking to each other properly so that I know it's hard. I'm a paper and pencil girly too, and it's hard to let go of that notebook, but I have gotten used to putting appointments and things or when I want to take time off onto my digital calendar. So it looks like, so this is actually something that didn't happen before, that if anybody is working on this right now and they just switched it, it connected to my calendar automatically, but we're going to want to make sure that it's connected to the right thing. So let's go in to start exploring here. So what I'm going to do is come down here into the bottom. This is like freaking people out because they're like, where are things? Where do I find things? But this is called the dashboard when you first log in over here. And we have moved the settings now into the bottom left corner over here. So if you click on your name, there's going to be settings right here. And that's where we're going to spend some time right now today. So your business info over here is where we're going to finish adding. So see how we have the brand name. This is your business name here. And this is my other email. I'm just going to keep that there for now. So when we use Dubsado Smart Fields, it's going to actually choose, do you want it to come from you as the business, or do you want it to come from you, your personal name? So everybody's is a little bit different. So you kind of decide how you want that to appear for your clients. It also is when you use some of the smart fields, it'll say like brand name. We want it to show this business name usually. So you kind of decide, and we can always switch it later, but I would recommend putting the business name as the email sender. Let's just go to calendar since we're just talking about that, and we'll come back. Actually, you know what? Let's just finish this out here. All right, so under business info, when you scroll down, you can decide the currency that you want to have your business in. I think it's going to default to wherever you're. And this is just showing you an example here of what that's going to look like. Most of the time, I've never had to change this or adjust this. Now, your business address, this is, again, going to be on your contracts and on your invoices with clients. If you have a PO box or something, I personally have chosen not to do that, even though I have a PO box for like my Flowdesk emails and things like that. But if you're working out of your home, you can sort of decide how you want this to appear. For me, for when like tax time comes around, I want to make sure everything is matching. So I personally would use your home address if you don't have a brick and mortar studio. But whatever your like either LLC or sole proprietor is registered under, I would make sure that this matches for any of your legal information there. Any questions about that? Good. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to actually jump to styling here, and then I'll come to calendar. So under styling, when we send any smart fields like a link to book a call or a contract or a proposal, we can only choose one color that's going to represent your business in here. Now, this is new, and it's nice because we can see what that's going to look like. But a lot of times I see clients that pick a color that's really light, like a light pink or something, and the text defaults to white. You can't change that color. So let me just jump back to my presentation for a second. We want to make sure that that color you select is like bold and standing out so that when the text color is white, they will be able to read it and actually be able to see it. So this is a nice little feature to be able to actually preview what that's going to look like. I don't remember the hex code off the top of my head, but I can switch this after to whatever brand color would be your darkest is the one that I usually choose, or the primary color. And then you'll see your logo here again. So if you ever wanted to change it or fix it, this is where it's going to carry over to all those other places from here. Now, something in 2.0 that was happening is you had to remember to hit save every single time. So I'm seeing that right here up in the right-hand corner. So if you're like, why didn't that save, or I changed that already, just make sure it doesn't look like it's going to do it automatically for every text in the long run. Okay, any questions about that? Oh, okay, great. All right, we talked about those settings already. So now one mistake I see people make is they'll say, well, I have my email here connected, but it's not working. Like I don't actually have my email. So to actually connect your email, I think, does everybody here have a Gmail or a domain email from Gmail? Okay, great. If not, there's a few extra steps that we have to take to make sure it's connected properly. But if you have a Gmail, deliver your emails very well and without you needing to do anything. I forget what the other part is called. It's called like STMP or something like that, that we have to like kind of like verify that your email is valid. So if you come under emails here, I want you to come in and make sure that the email that you want to send emails from, like your business email, is connected here. And I'm gonna actually disconnect it so I can walk you through this. Oh, here it is right here. So if you are using a Google account, I want you to make sure that you actually click on Google from here. And this is going to allow it to be like single sign-on, where everything is then talking to each other the way that you want it to. So I'm going to actually select my, and it's just going to walk you through the steps that you've probably done before, but we're going to trust Dubsado so that we can actually send emails from there. So it should look like this once it's connected, and right below it, see how it says add tracking pixel? We want to make sure that that is turned on. So that will allow us to see when a client has read your email. It doesn't have like detailed tracking like some of those like paid apps do, but it will have it show like your client read your email 5 minutes ago, 1 hour ago, 2 days ago, things like that. So we want to turn that on so that you can actually see those things. And then for your email signature, I'm going to add into your portal some options that you can do. I'll give you some templates. You can upload something from Canva, or you can actually you can do like a combination of both from here. I prefer to make them inside of Dubsado so that we can use an image of you, or we can use an image of your logo or whatnot. But then your client can actually still click on all of these things here. So this is just like a sample one, but let me just say it was like, if I pulled it from my website, you can actually come in and link things here. And I'll have that open in a new tab. If you had like something else like reviews or an address, like stuff like that, you can always add that at the bottom there as well. So I'll add that into your portal for later. But just remember to hit save. It doesn't look like that's going to save. All right, any questions about that so far? Okay. All right, so I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a few minutes about payment processors and taking payments through Dubsado. People are very attached to other types of payment processors, and they want to use Maru or Zelle or Venmo or things like that. But I am going to beg you to please use Dubsado payments when you are using Dubsado. You also have the option to use Square or PayPal, and that's totally fine. You can absolutely do that. The reason that I like the partnership between Dubsado and Stripe is that that is the only payment processor that you have a lot more flexibility in how you're going to charge your clients. So you can offer just bank or ACH payments, which basically is like a direct transfer. It's basically like an e-check from your client. The maximum fee that you would ever have on that is $5. You can also then accept credit cards, but you don't have to. So you have the option to turn that off if that's not something you want to offer your clients. If you use Square or PayPal, the only thing that you're going to see an option for is credit card. And then that means that your business is going to have that 3% fee every single time on every single transaction. So this is a good way to offset some of those fees, is to offer both. Personally, I don't add on. I'm not allowed to in Massachusetts. There are 5 states that you're not allowed to my head, but I'm pretty sure Connecticut, you're not allowed to surcharge either, or Massachusetts. I can look up the 3 others. But if your state allows surcharging, then you are allowed to turn that on and basically pass that fee off to your client. So if your fee was, let's say, $1,000, your client would then go to checkout and they can choose between credit card payment or ACH. If they choose credit card payment, it's going to automatically add that surcharging fee on for them. You would actually never see that fee. Stripe would take it out for you, and you would just get the $1,000 deposited into your bank account. I personally don't surcharge. I like to build it into the pricing. It's something I take in account for when I'm thinking about like my cost of doing business. So we can always talk further about that and help you make that decision as well. But please use Stripe and Dubsado. When you go and actually look, and we'll look in that account in a second, you're going to see these options here. It's going to also default to having Klarna, or I forget what the other one is called, something else with a K, I think. Depending on where you live, it's going to offer different options there. I recommend making sure those 2 other options are turned off, while your client gets the flexibility to like say, I'm going to pay it later, or like they can, pay in full. You're going to eat that fee though. You as the business owner, we're going to have to eat that like higher fee. I think it's like 10 or 15% if they choose this at checkout. So even if it's like a $200 invoice or something very small, and they choose to pay with like Klarna or pay now, pay later, you have to pay the fee. So just turn them off. I wouldn't even offer that as one of your options. But if you have not checked that, it's going to be on. So make sure you go in and check your settings. I just don't want to forget to mention these few other things, but actually I'll come back to that Stripe in a second. So Stripe is essentially like the middleman of your business. Dubsado has partnered with them, meaning like if you have an issue with Stripe, you can actually reach out to Dubsado directly, and they can sort of offer that support that I think is sometimes missing from Square and PayPal. But your payment is actually not going to be seen. Well, I should say this, your client's credit card information, bank information, you are never going to see that in Dubsado. It's all going to be processed through Stripe to keep everything like secure and safe for everybody. So they're sort of like acting as that middleman. Stripe is then going to push those payments out into your bank account to get it to your bank. I just want to go to the next slide here to show you. If you are brand new and you don't have a Stripe account, once I get to Dubsado, it will show you how it does the same thing as we just did with like setting up your email. It's going to walk you through all the steps that you need to do. But when you go into Stripe, I just want to make sure that when you go into settings, under business settings here, and you go to bank accounts and currencies, so you'll see like my bank account is set up here. And when you scroll down a little bit on the page, you're going to see this payout schedule. And we want to make sure that that is set up daily. So what that's saying is anytime that money is sitting in your Stripe account, it's going to automatically push it to your bank. So you don't have to worry about it. It's going to automatically go there on its own. If it's set up to manual payments, the money is actually just sitting in Stripe, and you're never going to actually see that in your bank account. So it should default to this, but please just double check that it's going out. If you're brand new to Stripe, it can sometimes take like a few weeks for them to be like, oh, okay, I see what this business is doing. I see their patterns. I trust them now. So they're going to hold the money a little bit longer at first. But now my payouts usually come in like 2 or 3 days, and it's pretty quick now. I am like, so don't quote me on this, but I'm like 99% sure that if you're a service-based business, the client, when they pay you, let's say they paid in full, they can actually like legally ask for a refund within like 24 hours. I forget exactly what it's called, but Stripe is essentially protecting you from saying like that money went directly to your bank account, you spent it, and now you can't refund them with that like legal time period. So it's kind of like we're making sure everything goes through smoothly, but like if your client, for whatever reason, hopefully they would never do that, but like if they wanted a refund within, an hour or something, they were like, never mind it, they get cold feet. They're legally allowed to do that. So it's just sort of a protective measure. I see people get really worked up about this, but But yeah, let's just make sure we get this set up now so that then once you start using it with clients, this is already good to go. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure to set that up. Do we have any questions about that, or even like credit card payments in general? If you choose to take payments outside of Dubsado, you can do that. Like if a client paid you with a check, or you want to manually add the payments later on, that's okay to do. But it's just causing more manual steps. So if we can eliminate as many manual steps as possible and the system can track when your payment has been made, then you'll be good to go. So I'm still in my brand settings here in Dubsado, and you'll see Dubsado Payments is not connected just yet, but see how my payment, my PayPal is connected here. So it's okay to have more than one, but I'm going to click on over here, getting started, and it will walk you through step by step creating the account and getting them all connected together. So see how it's just going to like kind of walk you through everything that you need to do. So I'm not going to go through that in depth, but I'll send you the directions if you need them. But none of my clients have ever had an issue with getting that set up right away. It should turn, it'll be like green to show that everything is connected. So if there's an issue and it says like red or something's wrong, reach out to the Dubsado chat down here and let them know that you need help and something's not working, and they'll make sure to get it fixed for you.
Kelly, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
I know that you had said to uncheck the Klarna option, and I understand why, to not have to foot so many of those like very high fees. But is there another way later on through Dubsado to be able to offer payment plans?
Yes. Yep. So once we get into that, you can design them however you want them to. A deposit of like $1,000 and then the rest is due later, or 50-50 or
Perfect.
4 payments. Yeah, you have control over all of that.
Amazing. Okay,
Good
cool.
question. Yeah, that's a great question. Anything else about credit cards? One other thing I didn't mention that might be useful for some of you is that I'll get to the Dubsado app at the end, but they also have tap to pay now. So if you have clients in person, like a lot of my seamstress clients do this, or like Sammy, it might be good for you if your like final payment is due in person. Like you can be right there and they can literally tap their card and pay their invoice right in person. So that's been a really nice feature for sure. All right, well, if we are good to go, we'll move on to calendar. So calendar, like I said, is always, it like breaks people's brains every single time. It's such a straightforward thing, but we have to make sure everything is talking to each other properly. So if you are not already using a digital calendar, I'm going to sort of push you to start doing that and using one for your personal appointments. Because then if we need to schedule time with your clients, then everything is already talking to each other. So you are currently allowed to connect one calendar with Dubsado. It does not have to be your like business calendar, but if you plan to use like Google Meet or something like that, where we're going to integrate it, we have to then make sure that they're all talking to each other. So you can see right now I'm still in settings under calendar and time zone that it's sort of like picking this one up. This is the Gmail account that I had logged in with, but nothing is connected here. So all you're going to do is click sync calendar and see how it's saying importing and exporting. We want to check both of these things off. On the importing means that it's going to take anything on my calendar of hello@kellymccracken.co and also put it into Dubsado. And exporting means that when I look at my calendar phone, my Apple app, it's going to also show my Dubsado appointments. So we want to check both of those things off and click save. Now, see how it's showing that checked and synced here? The thing that starts happening with people is that they didn't put their appointments correct inside of their personal calendar. So I'm hoping you can see this here, but this is just a random event that I was looking at on my phone. And when I go to make the event, Like again, I'm using my Apple calendar here, but you don't have to. You could be on your computer using any calendar. I'm putting in that there's cleaning happening at 11:45 and see how it says my personal email, kelly.farrell24@gmail.com. And it's marking me as busy. So that's meaning like if I was using a digital calendar, nothing else could be marked off there. Now, if you remember, I just connected my hello@kellymccracken.com email. So that is not, they're not going to show up and block my calendar off correctly. What I need to do is switch it on this little, if you click on that right there, it's going to show your other calendars that are available. So you need to make sure that they're all talking to each other properly. So whatever, like if you put dentist appointment, any appointment on your phone calendar, you have to make sure that it's using the business one and marking you as busy. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right, awesome. We always have the most trouble with this. Once we get into like setting up scheduler templates, we'll check everything and make sure it's all good to go. But is everybody using a digital calendar currently?
Yes. Hey, Kelly, I have a question
Yeah.
while you're at it. Is there a way, so I understand, so like I have 3 businesses and then a family calendar. So
Mhm.
having to put like all of this, is there a way to make it show across all calendars?
Yes, there is. And this is always, again, the hardest part here. So it's like we have to use one primary one, like your business one, to then get them to all sort of connect on the back end. So they're all going to fall under the same umbrella, essentially.
Okay.
I have to remember how to do this. This is the calendar link that's for you guys with the links. So it's going to let me do those like layers there and have them in there. But see how now it's going to say error, like failed to sync. We have to actually do it in Gmail. Like we have to find a way to make sure that they're all falling under the same umbrella,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So it's
Yep,
like,
that makes
yes, we can have them talking, but they all need to fall under that category.
Okay.
I can send a video explaining further because I have to actually like look at my Gmail calendar and show you how to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Especially making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
Oh, and then one other thing I forgot is this is another thing I see people always forget down below under date conflicts. We want to make sure that, again, this is dependent on your business, but when a client comes in and they fill out your inquiry form, if you have them fill out the project date, the smart field date, this is going to pull up this little like approve button, and it doesn't actually do anything with your workflows, but it's going to show your availability around that time frame. So it basically gives you like a single snapshot to be like, am I available around this time or am I not? So like for me, this isn't really super relevant because we sort of pick project dates later on. It's an ongoing sort of process. It's not always like a wedding date or an event date like some of you might have. So you can sort of decide if this makes sense for yours. But then we do want to make sure that for the schedulers, those are automatically being filtered. So like that should be on this next date conflicts down below. And that's what's going to allow everything to talk to each other. So yours probably won't have this, but these are like all the different accounts that I'm on. So that's why it's showing all of those calendars there. But yours should just have your one. And then just double check your time zone. It should work automatically. Depending on where you are, sometimes clients take people across different time zones, or we want to make sure like if they booked a call with you, and they're, in California and I'm in Boston, that everything is showing up in the correct time frame. Dubsado will actually like correct itself so that if you're saying like, I'm going to book a call at 12 p.m. EST, that when your client actually books the call, they're going to see it as like 9 a.m. West Coast time. So it adjusts automatically depending on where they are. So just make sure that that's set up correctly there, wherever you are. All right, any other questions?
I do. I have one more. I have a digital calendar. Is that, will I need, in addition to that, some sort of calendar booking software like Calendly? So I don't currently. Okay.
No, Dubsado will do all of that for you. We can book all
Amazing.
of your appointments, either in person or on Dubsado.
Thank you.
Yeah. The thing that I'm liking about that too is now, before, like, Gmail is very good at this where like if it sort of like sees an appointment in your inbox, that it would automatically add it to your calendar, or like ask you if you wanted to add it to your calendar. And with 3.0, this is happening now, where if somebody books an appointment, it's going to automatically be on your calendar and theirs as like a calendar invite. So that's been really nice. Yeah. And I'll show you how to like change all of the like notes and stuff as well.
Does it include on that automatic calendar invite a link if there's a virtual session like Google Meet or Zoom?
Yep.
Oh my God, that's epic. Cool.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. I've been using Google Meet now for the last like year or so, and I've been really enjoying it. And I like that integration with Dubsado because it generates the link automatically, puts it on your calendar. It's really easy and simple, but you can use Zoom as well too. Okay, so depending on where you are at in your business, I was kind of debating where to put this in the process of like laying the foundation. But I do think that I want you to start thinking about setting up packages or a custom quote inside of Dubsado and getting all of these sort of setting things good to go and ready. So this is going to be part of your checklist and your homework for this week. So let's just talk about a wedding photographer, because I think it's pretty easy and simple to understand, and we can get into some of your like nuances and how you run your business from there. But let's just say a wedding photographer has 3 packages that they're offering to their clients. Let's say it's a 6-hour, an 8-hour, and a 10-hour package. We want to put all of that into Dubsado because your client will be able to choose which package makes the most sense for them to automatically generate your contract and your invoice. So ideally, we have sort of a general contract that is sort of applying to all of your packages, that no matter what they select, these terms and conditions of your project, or I'm sorry, of your package are like basically saying like, no matter what's outlined above in those services, that's what is binding in this contract here. So let me actually just jump into an example so you can see what I mean. I'm going to go into, I need to find it. Where did they move it? Under invoicing and packages here. So I do the thinking of whatever you're going to offer for packages. Like I said, we could talk about custom quotes in a minute, but let's just say we're thinking about the 3 photography packages here. So we have like classic, for example. Yours is going to be blank here. These are just taking over my existing ones from my like trial and sample account. So if you were using 2.0, it's going to fill this in here. But if you're brand new, these are going to be blank. Drag and drop them around, and we can't do that anymore. So as you can see, mine are in alphabetical order from, you know, these little symbols all the way down. This is actually a feature I just requested to be able to like move them around, because I liked having them categorized and like grouped together by like your core offerings and then your add-ons. So let's just start at the beginning here. So if you come in and you want to create a new package, there are 2 titles here. So you'll see at the top, I'm going to just stick with that name, the classic. Let's say classic wedding package. What happens then is you're going to actually have that again, classic wedding package. The way that the smart fields work is you can sort of differentiate between the 2. I don't see it very often, but it is something that you might want to just keep in mind, that this can be more like for you on your, like how you think about it. But then this is going to be what appears on your client's invoice here. So classic wedding package. So those should typically be the same. So let's say that this one is $4,000, and typically a service-based business does not have tax, or you're not charging tax. Sometimes like on an album, you might add tax, but for most of you, I don't believe that there should be any tax on your packages, but we can again talk about. Now, the other thing I see that this number 1 is not always selected here. So if it's at 0, your package total is actually going to show as 0, but we want to make sure it's set to 1. Does anybody have a package offering where they would use like quantity or add tax on. Yes, Jasmine, you do. Yeah. Okay. So like if you are thinking about creating, your client might be able to select that they want 2 of something, but think about this as like, what is the one package that you are simply offering to them at the total price? If you wanted to add tax, this gets a little bit nuanced here. You know what? I'm going to come back to that in a second because I want to finish talking about the package and then I will go from there. Okay, so once you have the title in, you're going to have the option down here to add bullet points. And this is where I'm talking about that I want you to be super specific in what you are offering in your package, because this is eventually going to generate into your contract. So if this is, we're thinking about, let me see if I can move this over. If we're thinking about the wedding photography, it's going to outline exactly what is going to be included in there. So let's see. Oops, sorry. On me. So this is actually going to go here, classic wedding package. And this is still in the way, but you have the option to add bullet points. Okay, so let's just say this is 6 hours of coverage, 1 photographer. Be specific here, like maybe we need to say 6 hours of continuous coverage. Let's say this includes an engagement session. So whatever it is that your package is, I think what this is going to show is after the fact. This is what it did before, is that it doesn't actually show on there. It shows, see how it shows after you actually save it, the bullet points, and you can turn that on or off. So if I go back to that here, remove bullet points, and I click apply, see how now it's just a continuous description. So you can sort of decide how you want that to look, but that is going to be client facing, just so you know. But these are the things that like they need to sort of clean up in 3.0 that I think are still a little clunky. So once you've added in all of your packages and the descriptions, the category is the next thing that I want to make sure you add that in. The category is meant to be like if you are looking at a bookkeeping spreadsheet and your bookkeeper said, I want to know how many classic or how many, let's say how much money you made total off of the classic package. That's what these categories are meant to do. So I actually already have it here, so I'm going to put it as classic. Maybe we can give a few other examples. So like if you did package 1, 2, or 3, maybe you break it down like that. Or if you do custom quotes, maybe you have it listed as custom quote, and then your add-ons, like any additional services that you'd like to offer, are separated out into a different category. This is meant to help you on like your reporting so that everything is then organized into these buckets. What questions do we have about the category? People always forget to add the category on to there. Let me just jump into the chat. Okay, no questions there. So we want to make sure every single package that you add has a category on it here. Now, I rarely add multiple line items on a package like this. This is what it should typically look like when you're done. There's not going to be any tax. You'll see that the subtotal is there correct. If it's at 0, it's likely because you forgot about that quantity. And then I don't use the package note here. This is something that would appear to all of your clients every single time they add that onto an invoice. So this one is saving automatically. See how it says all changes saved? So that one is good to go. Now, once you have that first one in there, what's nice is you can then duplicate them to sort of not have to start from scratch every single time. Sometimes it like goes to the bottom. It looks like it's going right below that there. So now see how we have the classic and then classic wedding package 1. So now let's say I'm going to change this to deluxe. Deluxe wedding package. I'm going to change this to deluxe. And I'm going to change that to 8 hours. And let's say it's 2 photographers. So see how it's just sort of saving me a little time. Again, maybe this doesn't make sense for your business, but it also might. Then I'm going to change that category this time to say something different. So I'm going to change it to deluxe and click apply. So now anytime somebody selects that, it's going to kind of put them into that bucket of how much money you've made off of the deluxe package versus the classic. So I think I want you to set all of this up now so that once we get to the next part, you've already sort of thought through what your packages will be like and how that will sort of function in Dubsado. So if you haven't yet nailed that down, be sure to do that sort of between now and next week. Does anybody here offer custom quotes now?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Okay, great. So yeah, so I think a misconception is that you can't actually create custom quotes, but you really can. I want you to think about it as like, what are some things that you're going to offer to every single client, even if the price is different? Sort of think about this as your like baseline offerings. So even let's say a travel fee, or it's going to change price for every person, that's okay. Whatever is going to make it as simple as possible for you to send off that custom quote to your client when the time comes. So you can always fix and change these things and add things on, and we can always personalize the pricing for the client. But I still want you to add in some packages that are going to help you speed that process up. So when we send a proposal, you don't have to start from scratch. Does that make sense, or is that something you do now in Dubsado?
My wonder is sometimes I have a client who I'll send them like this deluxe wedding package, and then they kind of decide, well, I don't want the engagement session. Should I just leave? Like I always have hours of coverage and I always have 2 photographers. Should I just have that be kind of the standard collection, and then they can pick whether they want to add that engagement session or those other a la carte items? Should I do it that way?
Yeah, you certainly can. Yeah. And then then they can sort of select it themselves or remove it if they don't want to.
Yeah,
The
that's
reason-
kind of, I like to remove the back and forth of changing things.
Right. Yeah. Just separate, just take that cost out and they can add it on if they want that there. I know,
Okay.
again, that depends on like your clients and whatnot, but I think it removes the like the negotiation then of like, well, then is it $500 less or is it $100 less? Like it's just outlining what your pricing is.
Kelly, is there a way to do that where they can shoot, like they get the big package, but then here's like 2 or 3 options that like select or not select? How do you do
Mhm.
that?
Yes. Yep. We can definitely do that. So let's just say, for example, you're going to offer this as a custom quote. So let's say it's for wedding planning and you make it so that the price goes up or down for this one specific client. You can definitely have like a few additional add-ons as well that you could put into Dubsado and still outline their like terms and conditions essentially in that description of whatever that would include. So if they do select it on their proposal, then it's outlined as like, okay, this is also a part of my services that are going to be a part of the package, essentially. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I just don't want to forget about the category piece. So let me just go back into my page over here, and I just have to find it again because they moved everything. Let's see if it's under here. All right, I have a reporting feature here where if you are just starting out in your business, I think it suffices as a bookkeeping software, and it's pretty good at showing you like how much money you're making, and you can always put in expenses if you want to. Am I just not seeing it here? Where am I? It used to be on the left-hand side here. Let me see, reports. Okay. This is one of the things that 3.0 is getting like better and better at too, is it's going to give you more like detailed data on where your clients are coming from and like how much money is really converting. As you can see, these are the like little things that are still sort of being ironed out here in 3.0. I can send you guys a screenshot afterwards in 2.0 so you could see what it looks like, but it's essentially in the reporting tab. It's just going to be like showing your categories that you've created. And it's like a bucket of showing how much money you've made year to date, to the month, to the year. So you can sort of play around with that, and you can export it if you want to. The other thing I didn't want to forget, when you are inside of invoicing here, and let's say you are going to add tax on, let me just go back to packages. Sometimes like adding the categories, it's very simple to do from this page here. And other times we need to actually like head out of Dubsado and set up the tax first and then add it onto your package. Really the biggest thing is if you're using QuickBooks and we integrate QuickBooks with Dubsado and we want them to sort of be talking to each other or Xero, the tax code we need to make sure is exactly the same so that you're not getting like duplicate buckets of tax being on 3 different categories when really it should be 1 category. So what I mean when I say that is, see how from here you can do select tax item and it allows you to make a new one. So you could make one that says like, you know, Massachusetts sales tax. And you can set the rate. I don't actually know what it is, but you can be like as specific as you need to be. Like sometimes people really want me to be like, whatever the exact thing is there, you can actually do that. They're not going to see that, but if it makes you feel better, it will definitely do that. So you can create, oh, it's not going to let you do that anymore. It has to be 2. Okay. So we'll do create. So now I've created this tax code here, right? So now see how it's showing selected one is the MA sales tax. But sometimes then what happens is people create another one accidentally. So let's just say I'm going to type it different. And it's still 6.5. Now we essentially have, or 6.25. Now we have like 2 buckets of sales tax. So when you go to look at your reporting now, it's not going to be accurate. So we can again, like we can fix this later when we get to the point of like integrating QuickBooks. But I just want you to keep in mind when you're making your packages that we're going to make sure the tax code is the same for all of them so that they are all going to the correct place. I think Jasmine, did anybody else say they were using tax? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. And we can always change it later on too, if we need to. Okay, we're almost there, guys. So for today, I want to also make sure that if you haven't already to download the Dubsado app. I also want you to join the Dubsado Circle community. They're actually getting rid of the Facebook group, if you hadn't heard that news yet, and they're moving everyone to Circle. And it's been nice because it's a little more organized and you can still sort of like check in and chat and you can get notifications from there. But I could not find the link before this call, but I will send it to you afterwards. It might be in your email or you might already be in there, but it is nice to also just like see what other people are talking about and you can get ideas from other people as well. So then I know I keep talking about this and I'm sorry, I feel like a broken record, but you may not have access to 3.0 yet. I know it's rolling out slowly, but you can also switch between the original 2.0 if you are used to hanging out in there. That URL is going to be hello.dubsado.com. And if you want to play around in the new version, it's going to be beta.dubsado.com. So both can like work, and I am finding they talk to each other very nicely. So if you do something in one, you'll also be able to find it in the other. Okay, so I know, again, there's like a lot of like foundational basic stuff, but I want to make sure for my new people who are new to Dubsado that all of that was connected properly. And I'd be actually curious if you were using Dubsado, if anything was new to you as well, that you didn't actually know or set up. I'd love to hear that. Or maybe you didn't have it in there correctly. But here's your homework for this week. I am going to send you a PDF that has an outline of like a checklist as well. So if you are a paper and pencil girly, you can still do paper and pencil and like have that next to you, or digitally as well. But making sure your logo looks correct, setting up all those brand settings, Stripe, calendar, email. I do want you to add in your packages or update them to be correct going into 2026. Making sure we have categories, adding tax, and download the Dubsado app and join the Circle community. So that is everything that we have for today. But next week, we are going to do all of the hard thinking and planning. I'd really love your feedback, and I can share what I am going to do. I can show you an example, but typically with my clients, we sit down with the Canva whiteboard and we like literally move things around and talk about like what goes where and sort of plan out each step of your client experience. So we'll talk about like what's on your inquiry form to what's next. So actually, I'd really love to hear from you guys. Are you more of a like, you want to just see an example and then you can go do it by yourself? Do you want a workbook? Do you want, here are examples A, B, and C, and choose what works best for you? I'm trying to make the most of that time next week to save you a lot of time in the long run. So if you have any thoughts or you want to think about it, I'd love to hear like what is working best. Okay, examples, workbook. All right, perfect. I think I'm going to do a bit of both is what I was sort of leaning on. So, so thank you. I'm sorry I missed a few things in the chat there. Yeah, so Megan was saying you need to share the business calendars on the Google account. So yeah, I'll make a little Loom video after because you have to just like connect them on the back end in Google. Sorry, say that again, Jess.
And never mind, I got it. Thank you though.
Okay. All right, so perfect. So I'll do ways, and I'm thinking we can like do a few live. And so then you feel like, okay, I know exactly how to walk away and map all of my services. It's always the part nobody wants to do for themselves, but we're going to get it done. We're going to do it together and it will set you up for success. Okay, awesome. Well, we are wrapping up, but do you guys have any feedback or changes, or what would you like to see that you didn't see? I'm all ears.
I know I hopped on a couple minutes late, so it's possible that you all had a chance to introduce yourselves, but it would certainly be nice. I know you had talked about maybe doing like a Slack channel or some sort of group where we can know each other and know what industries we're in. I would really love that.
Okay, amazing. How about next week we start with that to make sure we have time for everybody, and so then we can plan to like be on camera for a minute and introduce ourselves. I did say sort of like, you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to, or, do what works best for you. So let's plan on that at the beginning of next week if everybody can hop on. I think that'd be great. Then we can lean on each other. All right, awesome. Well, yeah, are you guys open to a Slack channel or like having that support? Yeah, okay, awesome. Yeah, you definitely don't have to. I want to make sure like I'm serving you the best I can. So, so thank you so much for your time. If you run into any issues with your homework, let me know and I'm happy to help. And we will see each other again next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Kelly. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.